ebb and flow. His 300 finds confirm that the main battle did take place where tradition says. But Towton Hall, where the skeletons were found, is a full mile away. How had the men come to be there? Were they taken to the hall as prisoners, carried there already dead? Or were they killed in the last phase of the battle, the rout? Tradition tells us that the worst slaughter at Towton came in the rout as the Lancastrians fled the field. The valley that had protected their flank now became their killing ground. For the Yorkists, they were easy pickings.
The worst possible situation in any battle was to turn your back on the enemy. These men in the grave, my own personal opinion, is that they were caught in the rout. The injuries that are sustained all point towards this being attacks that were made when men were down on the ground, dagger wounds to the backs of the heads, repeated injuries and also mutilation.
Shannon Novak began to establish a sequence for the men's wounds, using the forensic techniques that she employs on murder investigations. The way in which the fracture lines in the skulls connect reveals the order of the blows, and that order suggests that some men could have been fleeing from the enemy who killed them.
This individual is a very good case of being able to sequence injuries. He has a very large blade wound to the back of the head. You can see a blade has come in with great force, resulting in fracturing in that area. He also received a very large blade wound to the face. This blade cut from the corner of the left eye, down underneath the nose, through the palate, and into the corner of the tooth. And what happened is this blade wound, again, it came across the face in this direction and resulted in this suture to open up, and you can see the fracture stops here with the large radiating fracture from the wound to the back of the head. But because it stops, it tells us that this fracture was already in place, and the force, the energy release, started to follow that fracture that already existed. So we know that he received a large, probably mortal wound to the back of the head. While he was presumably down, a blade was drawn through his face. This is the evidence of war. These are the men that were there and didn't make it out. And this is what weapons were created for, to be efficient killing tools.
There were many who didn't make it out from Towton. 28,000, the chronicles say. A privileged few have a monument and are cloaked for eternity in the myth of chivalry. But for the many, the battlefield where they fell serves as their tomb, and their memorial is in the work of those who are still trying to understand how and why they died.
I do feel as if I know them very well. I do feel that some are particularly close to me, and I feel particularly for some of them, what they must have undergone. But it's an incredible thought that all these people who would have fought then, would have died on the battlefield or in the surrounding area, are still there.
It's only on the battlefield that the archaeologists' questions can now be answered. If there were 28,000 killed that day, it is there that they are to be found. Until more bodies are discovered, we rely on the few from the grave pit for our troubled picture of life and death for the medieval soldier. For Edward, the young pretender, Towton was a triumph. Within 3 months, he was crowned King of England. But the battle did not bring peace. The Wars of the Roses would continue for over 20 years more before the factions collapsed into weary reconciliation. For the rank-and-file soldiers of both armies, it was 20 years too late. If the Middle Ages had witnessed the flowering of an age of chivalry, then the Battle of Towton saw its death. Archers and trusted retainers, the men in the grave pit, died horribly, their last moments embodying the worst that one human being can inflict on another. But for one of the Towton dead, there is a belated afterlife. Number 16, the battle-scarred veteran, is ready to confront the world again. Sometime winner, now forever victim, his is the true face of every battle.
Perhaps you better meet him. So there we are. You know, he's a regular guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think now that he's got flesh on his face, you can really imagine him as a person, a live character that actually existed and that was present in the battle. When you just see the bone, it's almost as if the cut is much smaller, as if it affects only that area, but obviously the blade would have been much larger.
Yeah.
He certainly looks experienced and mature. He must have undergone a lot of, obviously, physical trauma, but possibly also some psychological trauma from the after effects of this injury. If you had to face him in a battle sort of situation, it would have been quite scary. You can tell immediately that he would have been experienced.
Oh yes, he has that sort of old campaigner look.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah.
A selection of the Secrets of the Dead mysteries are now available as a Channel 4 book, price $16.99. Next, blood, sweat and flared tempers in building an ancient Chinese bridge last seen 900 years ago. Mysteries of Lost Empires.